Good morning. How are you folks this morning? Pat Zemer here. I'm the CEO of MagnaWave and founder. Each week on Tuesday mornings, I bring you the MagnaWave Wellness Office Hours program. It's an opportunity to answer any questions that you may have about PEMF, MagnaWave, services, training, wellness in general when it involves PEMF type of products, and so on and so forth. So we're glad you're with us here this morning. We look forward to answering any questions that you may have. I don't have a lot of questions on the docket this morning because of things going on. This past weekend we worked the Kiva tournament, which I want to talk about with you a lot as we go forward this morning. So here to do that and answer any questions. Someone's trying to call me, but I'll get to him here in a little bit. You know how that goes. You have all kinds of things going on. I want to tell you that if you'd like to call in, you can do that. Just give us a call at 502-599-9722. We can have a conversation. You can ask your questions on the phone and see how that works. One of the lucky callers today will receive a $25 gift card. And one of our viewers today will also receive a $25 gift card, lucky viewer. So we want to kind of incentivize some participation in the program. What I'd like to do now is tell you a little bit about what we did this particular past weekend. But before I do that, I'd like to show you, here is a photograph that was on our page, and so you can see what it is. This is thermal pictures of a person's grandmother's hands. She's not been able to close her hands into a fist for years. 2 treatments gave her roughly 2 weeks of relief in her hands. Now she uses it weekly on her whole body, and that's absolutely incredible. I'll bring this picture up a little bit so you can see it larger. There is after. Let me go to over here the before pictures. Let's see if we can get that. There's the before pictures, and you can see the lack of the circulation and the problems in the fingers, and here's after. So we were able to improve a lot of circulation, which certainly gave relief and mobility from that particular type of situation. So as I was saying, we worked the Kiva tournament this weekend as sponsors. It was a large tournament held here in Louisville. I think there were over 8,000 athletes in attendance at this tournament. 140 volleyball courts were set up in the Kentucky Exhibition Center. Here are just some pictures of a lot of the various participants. Here's a picture of the center. You really can't see much there, but it's all the way down, just one volleyball court after another. Here's one of the views. That's just one volleyball court after another. It was an incredible opportunity to be there, and it was really kind of a learning experience for us at the tournament because it just gave us. Let me come down here and get me back up here. Let's do this here. We got things kind of we're messed up. What do we do? I don't know what we're seeing. And let me come back. Here we go. There we are. Let me turn this on now. Come back over here. Hello. Gets kind of confusing moving these various screens around to show you the pictures and everything that we're trying to look at. But it was an incredible tournament. As I was saying, just thousands of players, and we had a whole area set up for people to have treatments and to treat their athletes and to experience the therapy for themselves. We had 6 or 8 machines in service the whole time at this tournament. And then I was in the trainer's room where the athletes would come and get taped, iced, whatever they needed. If they had a problem and they needed some body work, there were certainly trainers there to assist with the body work. It was kind of an interesting situation because a number of the physical therapists had never been exposed to PEMF therapy, and as you would imagine, as people experience, if they're not exposed to it and they don't know what it is, they find themselves in a situation that they're kind of hands off. They may think we're voodoo, any number of types of things like that. But it was very interesting to be back there. Now, the Kiva players, the players for the Kentucky Indiana Volleyball Association, the group that put on this tournament, we've been treating their athletes for a while, and so they're familiar with treat them on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We treat their upper echelon, the high school athletes that are, many of them are under agreement to go to or under commitment as freshmen and sophomores even to attend various colleges to play volleyball on full ride scholarships or some form of scholarship. So we've been working with these folks for several weeks now and working with shin splints, knee issues, ankles. They have a lot of ankle, knee, certainly, you would imagine, elbow type of injuries, not to mention back and things like that they're dealing with the stress that they encounter while they're playing these games. And they're very competitive, certainly, in this arena. So we've been treating them, and it's very normal if shin splints. One young lady that I've worked with a couple of times with shin splints, we could treat her for just 6 to 8 minutes, and she could go play and be able to play with less pain, or in many cases, no pain for the game, and it just helped her abilities. She's 6 foot tall. She's committed as a junior, full ride scholarship to Ohio State, and shin splints are something that she's experiencing now, and so we were able to work on that, where the muscle separates from the shin, becomes quite painful, and relief is certainly important to these people when they're playing. So I was working with the Kiva athletes straight away when I was in there. But the other folks coming in for taping and icing, they didn't know who we were, and I had to introduce myself to the therapists who were there. The PT folks from local hospital and Bellarmine University were there. Baptist East therapists were there. And so again, they really didn't know, so I would introduce myself, say, "Are you familiar with PEMF therapy?" "Well, yeah, I've got some older folks that use it, and I know what it is, but, we're busy over here," and this kind of went on. But they started watching as I was treating the Kiva athletes and a few other people that they would bring in, and then they started asking questions. "Well, what's this doing?" Or "Why are you using it in addition to the taping?" And, the whole thing. And so it was really interesting to watch that happen. A very interesting thing occurred. As the day progressed, I had one particular therapist that was receptive and talking to me and seeing what I was doing, and she began to send people to us. When someone would come in and they would have something going on, and she would look at them and think, "I'm going to tape your ankle, but you need to go over here and sit down and have them maybe treat your knee. That's a little stiff or sore right now." So people would come over, and she was sending that. Other therapists weren't quite into doing that just yet, so they were, kind of watching us out of the corner of their eye. Well, funny thing happened. I watched on 5 different occasions when an athlete would come in, quite often with her parents, and ask a question. They'd look at it and talk to her, and then the athlete would leave. Nothing would happen. Well, they were talking about issues that could not be readily taped. They were issues that did not occur on the court that day, that maybe they needed some flexation quickly and to relieve and to help the player feel better from an injury or, a stress that occurred on the court during a game. And so I watched 5 different times when they had these athletes just basically leave. And so I went to the person running the PT, and I said, I'd like to explain to you something and what we're doing, and I'm going to tell you what I've seen. I've seen not that particular person, but on 5 occasions, athletes told that, do this, do that, and go on about your business. And I said, we could maybe help those people. So why not send them over here and let us help relieve the stress in their back or their neck and make them feel a little better so they can go play more effectively. And that opened their eyes that, number one, I brought it to their attention, and number 2, that, okay, this could work in conjunction with what we're doing. We're just not here to tape and ice and to do some body work and stretching if required. Perhaps there's something that we can't do. So I started showing them some videos of what PEMF does and how it works and the whole thing. And so a few of them began sending people over. There were a couple who still didn't send people over, but they began to send them over, and we were helping them with many of them were low back pain and neck and shoulder pain, areas that they really couldn't do a lot with. I had one young lady come to me who had basically a crick in her neck. She woke up in the morning and couldn't turn her neck, and so they went and the people talked to them and they sent her over, and I used the paddle on her with the Max machine for about 6 or 8 minutes and basically got her relieved. Now, if you've ever worked on a crick in the neck, it's really tough to get that inflammation out of the muscle and the nerve and get immediate relief. But over the next 15 or 20 minutes, she went and played and came back immediately after the game and said, I feel so much better. It's still there. Can we do it again? So we did it again. I ended up working with that young lady 4 times that afternoon as she began to go to a game, because it was a really serious crick or bind in her neck, and so each time before the game we would give her some relief. So those are the kind of things, and that started opening the eyes of some of the therapists that were there. Interestingly enough, they're teaching a course in college on different modalities used in PT. And so they've asked me to come talk to one of the college classes about our modality, how it's used, where it's approved at the FDA, so on and so forth. So it was really interesting how all of this shook out at the event. Let's see if he has a question. There's a link to the photo album that Nick has put up. For folks who maybe want to take a look at the album and see all of the activities. As I said, it was absolutely amazing, the number. I mean, there were teams from Canada, teams from the West Coast, teams from Cleveland, Connecticut. I mean, they really seriously travel for these tournaments, because this is a big deal. You know, college volleyball in high school and college volleyball, we really don't have professional team like you experience in college professional volleyball in the United States. Of course, we have the sand volleyball, the Olympic aspect of it, and that is played 2-on-2, and these are full teams. But in Europe they have some professional volleyball. But with the federal regulations in college, volleyball is a mainline college sport now, and so it's a big deal for the college. It's a money-making sport for the colleges, and it brings a lot of activity. If you've never been to a college volleyball game, you should go. I've been to a few of the U of L volleyball games, and it's amazing. The place is full. The arena is full, and it's really an exciting sport to watch if you haven't really had an opportunity for years to watch it. I know we've all played volleyball, but at any rate, it was really cool to be there. And if you have any questions about what we did or how we did it, please throw them up, and I'd be happy to answer them for you at this time. Let me see. I have always said this is what teams need. Did you charge or just do demos? Well, it was interesting because we were first there. The PT people were charging. It's kind of interesting. They were charging $2 to tape a person, plus tip, or not plus, but and then they had a tip jar. So I just fit into that same thing. If they came in and needed something and they were paying, I was only working on them for a few minutes, so I just kind of made it part of their whole situation. Could you be in a environment like that, like when we go to the soccer facility and treat these young ladies who go to chiropractors and physical therapists and charge and have it being a very viable part of a business? Absolutely. We certainly experienced that this weekend, and in fact we're putting some test programs together as we speak to facilitate that so we can make it a working model that practitioners can use to help develop their business in their localities, people who want to work with athletes of all types, human, small animal, and large animal, or just people in general, or whatever the case may be. So it was very interesting from that perspective. And I was asked, so I was basically doing demonstrations at this tournament, but I was asked repeatedly how much it cost and what would do. So the $1 a minute, $2 a minute could work very well. I was treating these athletes for 4 to 6 minutes. Was the typical routine that I was doing, and so they were very receptive. They got their relief immediately, and they were able to go about their play. As the day went on, it became very interesting because I started seeing in the morning everybody was being taped. tape their ankles, tape their hands, tape their elbows, do whatever so they could go play. As the day progressed, they're coming in, they're getting iced. They're icing their knees, they're icing their thighs, they're icing their ankles. They're doing all of this. Well, ankles is kind of where I keyed ankles and knees. So if they were done for the day, it made sense. They iced them up and away they went, and they watched the rest of the game, so they did whatever. But if they indicated that they needed to be iced because they had another game in an hour, what I would do is and in many cases, again, the PTs would ice these people and send them on their way. And if they really were gimping when they walked away, I'd stop them and say, can I show you how we might be able to help your ankle or knee with this particular type of therapy? And they'd come over and they'd sit down, put the butterfly coil on their ankle behind. The ice would be on the front, and I'd put it behind it. If the ice was on the back in the Achilles area, I would put the MagnaWave coil on the front and treat away 4 to 6 minutes. And I had numerous times to where the young lady would get up and walk more freely, put her shoe and sock on, remove the ice, and go play the game. So the ice, certainly the cooling effect, the immediate cooling effect, helped the situation quickly. The MagnaWave enhanced that particular function, and they were able to go and move right back to the court more comfortable, in a more comfortable type situation. So I was doing knees. I would have them put their knee up on a chair with the mat under their knee, treating from the bottom up, and with the ice on the top. So I could see how it could just be very flexible and how it could work in very well in a PT type of situation or in an athletic type of thing. Certainly we do this on the racetrack in various places. It's certainly fine to ice and MagnaWave at the same time, or ice and MagnaWave afterwards when you're dealing with helping the area of stress on the athlete's body, regardless of the type of athlete that you're dealing with. So it became interesting to work it from that perspective. And once somebody got into the role, they were back. The young lady that plays for Kiva, that's been having some I've lost the word. But shin splints came back several times through the day before each game. She'd come sit, treat that area. We'd treat the top of the shin, and we'd slide over and find the MagnaWave would show us the area of sensitivity in her calf where the muscle was sore. Or the muscle was sensitive, and we'd treat that area again for 6 minutes, and she'd get up, feel better, and go off and play her game. Oh my, there's a long question that came up. I need to take a look at that. But at any rate, they would continue to return. And so it was really interesting. By the end of the tournament on Sunday, I was working very closely with several of the PTs to help enhance what they were doing with these particular athletes. Okay, let me go back here and let me see. We do have some other questions. Okay, we do have questions. Let me come up here and take a look. Here's a question. Let me pull it up here. This is, I've always said, charge for the, I'm sorry, let's move out of that one. Find the next one. Here we go. A little bit off topic. Have you ever done treatments on autistic kids? Was there any change? Well, actually, the PEMF therapy, a modality of PEMF therapy, is FDA approved for use with autistic children. And basically, what they do is they're treating the upper body area and the head with the device to help balance and help healthy blood flow and improve circulation. It also provides a sense of well-being and relaxation, which is quite often very beneficial with those types of indications that you're dealing with. So most certainly we have seen, and as I said, the modality is FDA approved. Not our devices necessarily, but the modality of PEMF. There is a device for autistic use. Now, many of these devices are very similar and can overlap very easily as predicate use when it's similar to a device that's out there. But most certainly not everyone is the same, and results can vary, and there is no guarantee, but there is some basis and background for it in those particular areas of usage. All right, let's see. Let's see another question. Good morning, Shannon. Here we go. Let me pull this one up. Let me get rid of this here. Bit off topic. My marathon training partner suffers from trigeminal neuralgia, which causes debilitating pain in her face and head. Any experience or thoughts for treating with PEMF? Well, most certainly what the PEMF is going to do is it's going to allow the body to better heal itself. It can help with the circulation in the area. It can help relieve any inflammation. And if she's having pain, she has inflammation. So you can treat the area of the face itself. You can treat the upper shoulders to help the overall blood flow of the body, to help nourish those areas so the body can better work with those areas on its own and potentially see some relief to that type of situation. Great question. Not really off topic because you're talking about a marathon training partner who is an athlete, who does participate and does work and has some results, some not good effects occur to them as a result of their training or what they're participating in. And so this is one of the things that you can do to help athletes and people in general feel better and work better in their particular disciplines of choice. So yes, great question. Not off topic at all. We're talking about very similar types of situations. So if you have any additional questions, please put them up there. Tipping is a good way to go at first to build future business. Let me put that up here. Kathy makes that comment, and that'd be a great way. In the horse world, for example, when I first started, I would do demo after demo after demo, and they'd go ride the horses and come back. I needed to know when to stop demoing, because then they would take a move and they would make a move. Someone needs my keys. They would make a move to then begin to purchase treatments. And as she points out, tipping would be a very good way. Here, I'm going to treat you. If you want to leave me a tip, great, or come back. So oftentimes people will tip more than they will pay, but in certain situations. But it's a great question, great comment, Kathy. Thank you very much, and it is certainly something to consider. But what we forget quite often is, I used to say treating horse and rider when I would work shows initially. MagnaWave, PEMF, treating the horse and the rider, and so if I could make the rider feel better. And they do have stresses, and they do have knee issues and low back issues. But the thing that I'm kind of seeing also, and I experienced this weekend, is I had one young lady that came, sat down, a Kiva player, and really didn't have any issues, but she gets tight in her back, is what she would say. So she would come before each game, sit for 6 minutes on the mat, and treat her back, and would get up and be more flexible. She really wasn't having an issue. She would just improve her range of motion, her flexibility. And when she came back and told me, I'd get into a game and I'd make a lunge or do something, and I would kind of stress my back. I didn't experience that if I would prepare myself for the game and for the match. So she came back before each match, sat down, 6 minutes, right through the system, away she'd go, smiling. And so it was really interesting when all of a sudden they start calling you, hey, Mr. Pat, or Mr. Pat, I'm back, all this kind of stuff. But to think about it from a pre-event situation to improve mobility, improve range of motion, even if they're not having a particular stress issue or problem, to be able to use the product in that fashion. Kind of like, and I talk about this a lot, Tony Robbins, the motivational speaker, he says he charges himself before each presentation that he gives. He lays on a mat, gets charged up, gets pumping pretty good, and so he's ready to go perform and do his motivational speaking. So, we need to ask all the right questions and present all of the right answers to see how this can be beneficial to someone when they play. Golfers, Vijay Singh won a tournament this weekend, and he's been a MagnaWave owner and user. He started using our equipment within the last few months because he's got knee and ankle problems, and it helped him so much that he was able to play better, more comfortably, and got him, actually may have helped get him back in the game, and he won a tournament this weekend. So we're really excited about working with people in that respect. And it doesn't always just, and I'm not selling here, but it's just exciting to start seeing how we can think about this and how to apply it in many different aspects of the athletic world. As far as the usage of MagnaWave and our devices. So let's see here. Treatment. Okay, so that's from our folks. Thanks for your question. Okay, let's see here. Here we go. Here's a question. Shannon asked the question, when is MagnaWave and icing contraindicated? I vaguely recall something in the training that talks about waiting a certain period of time between, but I can't recall the details. There is really, the only thing that you want to worry about, and it's really not as much icing as is heat. If you're doing something to produce heat, it doesn't do you any good to MagnaWave, because MagnaWave is trying to take away heat. So in many cases, they're putting a heat product on, and then you want to wait till that's off before you MagnaWave. As far as icing is concerned, I have iced, Centurion makes an icing boot that gets down to 33 degrees, 33, 34 degrees. In many competitions, they can't have an icing device or an icing machine that gets below freezing. And because they don't want that, they don't want to freeze anything, because then you can compete through it and damage something. But there are many, many times that we put the ice device on a horse's leg or on an athlete's leg and MagnaWave right over it. The ice is trying to constrict things and just make things flow smoother, help take away inflammation, relieve some pain and stress in these situations, and so the MagnaWave is certainly just an enhancement to that. MagnaWave will serve to reduce the capillaries so everything flows with less pressure or inflammation. So there really isn't a contraindication for the two. Quite often you would ice and then MagnaWave, or MagnaWave and then ice. In the situation that we were doing this weekend, what I was doing is if the ice was on the back of the ankle, I was MagnaWaving from the front. If the ice was on the front, I was MagnaWaving from the back. Same thing on a knee. If they were icing the front, top, or bottom of below the knee, I was putting the knee and treating from the bottom up to get the results that we were looking for at that point. Great question, Shannon. Thanks for asking. Let's see here if we've got another one come up. There is a link. Oh, they just put the link up to the article about Vijay Singh winning this weekend. So, folks, if you have any other questions, just put them up there. Let me see what I can do here. Just to open up, let's go over here and see if we can get Nick on the phone here. He may be surprised. He probably doesn't know I'm calling.
Hello.
Hey, Nick, it's Pat.
Yeah. Hey, Pat.
How are you? You're on the air. You're on the air with me.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Surprise!
Well, I'm next door to you here watching the show.
I know, and I wanted to ask, kind of give me your feeling to share with the folks here, your experience. Nick was handling the social media for the tournament and was taking all kinds of photographs. He's the one who's put the links up for you to have a look at this morning. Just give me just a short description of what you experienced when you went to this arena this week.
Well, the thing that I really like about these events is you have thousands of people here, and all of their attention is in between matches on their phones. They're all looking at social media. They're all sharing, aspects about their weekend. They're all sharing pictures and videos. And what we tried to do with you guys is capture some of that attention and direct it towards a couple of things. One, for MagnaWave, was this Treatment of Champions hashtag. And we did a few contests. We offered some prizes. We did some things to really engage with the kids, the coaches, the families, and get them sharing pictures and photos and really just inquiring about what is MagnaWave, because it was a learning experience for a lot of them. So that was pretty neat to see people use the hashtag and see the popularity of it grow throughout the course of the couple-day time period. The other thing we did that was unique for this event is we created a social media wall, and we actually had a couple of big projector screens up there where we could use your hashtag and also another one for the event. It was the Ultra Ankle Bluegrass Tournament, so it was UABG, and these photos would show up on these walls, on these projectors at the event. So we had thousands of people walking by, stopping, looking at the projector screens, and wondering what we were doing. And it was pretty fun because people would just kind of pause there and say, "Oh, that's my picture," or "What do I have to do to get it put up there?" And it was just really neat to get so many people looking at the things that we were working on. So that was a really fun side. It took up a lot of my time during the weekend, but when I wasn't doing that, I was trying to pop into the booth where you and Elaine were working, and I also got to see a lot of the treatments, and that was pretty rewarding because, like you said at the beginning of the show, there's people who were injured, who were not feeling well, and who also had never experienced MagnaWave before that were just curious. So I think you guys did a great job with outreach and really just starting to spread the word through this athlete base of what the reasons are that they should be using MagnaWave. One of the young ladies that you were treating came up and she said, "Oh, I've got to go find my coach. I want to bring him over." So I kind of stopped her and said, "Well, why? What coach? What do you mean?" And she said, "Well, I'm playing in college next year, and we've got to get one of these machines. This would be perfect." So, she was actually to the point where she was trying to convince her coaches, her administrators in the future that they need to have one of these on hand for not just her, but her teammates.
Right.
So that was really neat.
Right. Well, that's great. Well, I thank you for sharing that, and I just wanted to, so folks could hear, not just for me, but there was it was just an awesome event. So, really cool. You did great work. Thank you so much, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you, Pat. Enjoying the show.
Bye. We were disconnected, but we're back. We got disconnected there a little bit, so we are back at this point. Let's see here. Here's a link. Let me come back and see. Here's another question. Let me bring it up. Touched on this briefly yesterday, but I'm still unclear about using C60 in conjunction with CBD. Do you recommend that, or should you try one or the other initially? Great question, Shannon. And actually, a lot of folks are using CBD oils or gel caps as a relaxant, as a stress reliever, for well-being, the whole thing with various CBD products. C60, on the other hand, is a product, it's a fullerene that basically works with the body's telomeres, which are the defense mechanisms of the chromosomes. And you can use telomeres to talk about length of life. And when they talk about what's your actual age, you may be 50, but your actual age is more like 30. And the physical aspect of things, that's where the telomeres come in with your body. And C60 is very beneficial. They've noticed to help that and to help your overall body's well-being. So could the two of them be used in concert? I would think absolutely. There would be no contraindication that one would obstruct the other in particular usage. So it's a great question, Shannon. And in fact, we kind of don't really cover all of that, but our most recent podcast or webinar that we did on the C60 that's available on the Facebook page, or certainly on the YouTube channel, MagnaWave YouTube channel, will go into that situation in more depth. So I would think they could be very complementary for each other. C60 is not necessarily designed to be a relaxant or anything like that. It's designed to be a nutrient to the chromosome level of the body and to help the body be in a better position again to heal itself and it works very well in concert with PEMF and the MagnaWave therapies that we use. So actually, again, very good question, Shannon. Thank you for asking. I did get another question where someone was talking about a heart issue. Let me come back if I can. Here it is. Let me pull this up. Jennifer asks, are there any issues treating people with cardiac stents? How long should you wait after stents are put in? Great question from Jennifer. And so here is the situation. Once the stent is in place, I mean, certainly you want to check with your doctor and ask them what you're doing and what the situations may be that you're dealing with. You don't want to do anything that your doctor doesn't want you to do, and you certainly want to consult. And we want to approach MagnaWave as being helping blood flow. Well, stents are there to help the blood move freely, to move well through the heart function and the whole thing. My case in point, my wife has a stent, has a wire mesh heart repair in her heart, and she treats herself for her upper back, which is in the region of the heart, regularly. And her doctors know, and she's discussed all this with her doctors as to what she wants to do and what she needs to do for her overall well-being. And so there really hasn't been an issue. Certainly you want, when a stent goes in, and she just had an ablation where they repaired another hole in her heart, and where they actually cauterized the area of her heart. And that takes, when you burn your finger, it takes time for it to heal. It could take a couple of weeks for it to heal, and it's sore, and it causes pain when you do it. Well, when they did her ablation, she really had more pain from the ablation than she did from the stent. When she had her stent put in just before Christmas, she felt like she was 40 years old again. It felt great immediately. When they did the ablation, she had a week or so that she was tired. This thing's healing. This thing is this burn. Not only did it close the hole, but it had to heal. And we were treating her through this entire process. And so it's certainly something that when a stent, there's nothing going on in a stent that the PEMF would interfere with at this point. But again, you want to check with your doctors and the type of stent, what they're expecting, and what to use. But what everybody wants is good oxygenated blood and good blood flow. And we serve to help that in the body from that perspective. Great question. Thanks for asking. Let me take a look here and see if there might be any other questions. Significantly, there we go. Here, let me pull this up. Jessica asked the question, are there any concerns with treating a significantly older animal or human for the first time? Wondering if too much toxin release at once has ever been encountered or had any other negative effects because of age. I can say that we've really never experienced negative effects because of age. In a person, treating geriatric patients, older people, it's something for them to get used to. It's a totally different sensation. It's a different sensation for us the first time. And there's a difference between how men react to it and how women react to it. And so when you're dealing with older people, there is a comfort level that they want to feel and that they have to get used to. I would certainly say if you're treating someone for the first time, an older person, for example, you might want to treat them 6 to 8 minutes, 10 minutes max in the area that they're dealing with. You're not going to detox somebody in 20 minutes. If you turn the machine up as high as someone could tolerate and you did their whole torso, you're going to create some detoxification, and they need to drink some water and to keep so they don't have the Herxheimer effect, which is a rapid detoxification. But and so patients are not, I want to say caution, but just slowly familiarizing and slowly performing the treatment should not cause any issues with an aging person. Pet, same thing. If it brings comfort to the animal and you're treating a hip or whatever you're doing and makes them feel better, it's not much of an issue. Detoxification is not nearly, even though you can detox an animal as they're going, which sometimes they need to be detoxed, or a person needs to be detoxed to a point. But animals, they're in the grass, they're outside, they're on the floor, so they're getting plenty of toxins all the time, much different than us. When we're breathing filtered air through the air systems and so forth. So, our detoxing could occur quicker. An animal or a horse does not detox as rapidly, in my experience, as a person. So, treating an older animal, not necessarily an animal issue. Again, you might go slowly because the animal's uncomfortable, it's older, kind of sneak up on it. I don't mean sneak up, I'm just using terms that we use. Just gently apply it for a period of time, then do it again, allow them to become used to it. We have that with horses when we're treating horses. Some horses love it from the get-go. Other horses, you got to treat them a few times at hardly any high setting at all or any progressive setting at all because they're just antsy. These same horses react very antsy to clippers if you're going to clip the horse. So a lot of different situations like that. Good question. No negative effects because of age. People of age need good blood flow as well as anybody else. They have soreness in their hands. The picture that I showed at the beginning of the show of the woman who had had really tough issues with her hands for years, an older grandmother type of person, and this gave her relief immediately. So age is really not an issue. Comfort and understanding the feeling is a little bit of an issue in older individuals. So I think great question, Jessica. Thanks for asking. Let me see if there's anything else. Okay, so you're welcome. Kathy talks about being, let me pull that up here real quick. She's very excited about MagnaWave and the direction it's going. It's truly an amazing therapy. Thank you, Kathy. It is a lot of fun to deal with, and this weekend was an eye-opener for me. Been doing it since 2002. Been doing it with the high voltage stuff since 2006, 2007, and working with athletes and people. But just all of it, just a little mindset switch, just a little paradigm switch on how to discuss using it. The opportunity to work with golf clubs, like we've got folks in Florida going to the golf club every Thursday or every Tuesday and Thursday, and working with the golfers that are coming out to play. One practitioner, Woody Blackburn, works a lot with professional golfers as they continue to practice and develop, and a lot of their issues come from their practice, much more than they come from during the game, because they're working so hard to improve and they're contorting their body so much. So to help these people get through their practice sessions effectively and to recover rapidly from these sessions is a key. And to all of a sudden start talking about that and have someone experience that. I'm going to interview a person from Louisville, a gentleman who was a professional baseball player, played for the Cincinnati Reds as a pitcher, and he used the therapy for years, didn't really know what he was using. Just would go to the therapist and get it done. Started seeking out people as they would travel to various cities to have the therapy administered. And so now he understands what it is, what it did, and he's going to join me and talk about PEMF and how he used it during his baseball career as a benefit to his pitching and stresses that he suffered as a result of his activities during a game. So, folks, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. We've been going for about 45 minutes now. It's been a great session. Again, we had a great time this week at the Kiva event. Nick needs to pick somebody to win the $25 gift card today. And let's see here. We'd be happy to do that. So Nick's going to make that choice, and we'll be reaching out to you to get you your $25 gift card for participating in the program and taking the time to be with us. We thank you very much, and we're going to be doing things like that more often. It's a lot of fun, and it just is an enticement to get folks to ask the questions that they may have. So anyway, I want to thank you for being with us. It's been a great day today, and we're going to be this afternoon. I'll be working with those of you who are practitioners. This afternoon, I'll be having a practitioner show dealing with specific issues of marketing and so on and so forth. Something we like to do here at MagnaWave is to help our practitioners as much as possible to benefit and use this product effectively to build their businesses. We like to do that a lot and work hard on it. Let me make sure there's no other questions. New comments. Let me go down here. Yep, that's it. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being with me, and I look forward to next week's program. If you have any questions, we're here to answer them, and we want to be transparent and get you the knowledge that you need about PEMF and how to use it for your health and wellness. Have a great day. Thank you very much. Bye.